So I'll just give a brief intro about Bart, sir. Currently, he's a senior product manager at Microsoft and a professional product management teacher. He also holds a PhD and is an automation engineer. Just to inform you, sir, that all students here are engineers and PM enthusiasts as well. So we'd like to know now from you what exactly are the right ingredients and in what proportion for someone coming from a tech background and now wishes to go on a voyage of a PM.
Let's start with the definition of a product manager that I've worked out with my community, which says that the product manager leads a product that, in a measurable way, solves a problem using a team of talented individuals and technology in order to deliver smiles or value. What this value is in the context of the product could make another webinar that would take for far longer. So let's just say that it says smiles here because it's all about pleasing and pleasing stakeholders, so people who get something from the product. But that's a lot of words, and what does it really mean like day to day? Well, just talking, and a lot of talking with many different people about many different stuff in order to make this one thing that is very important, decision, to know exactly what should the product be changed, how should the product be changed, what direction should it take, and be able to predict and measure what will be the impact on the business. How many new users will come, how many more revenue will we get, how quicker will the product be. And the thing is that in many things in the lives of a 21st century person, there are too many choices. You can do a lot, but you can only choose a handful. So that means that you will have to say no a lot, that you will have to make sometimes impossible decisions, or be able to put a number on stuff that can't have a number, like team morale, or preventing a possible failure of a product that might never happen, but still it's required. So why do this? Why become a product manager? For one thing, it's really a great challenge because it's a position that encompasses many other different positions, that you are not like a developer that has a specialty. Your specialty can consist of many different skills that you can develop. For example, I am very weak in UX design. I can create a good user journey. I understand what makes a good product in terms of the flow. But if you ask me to design a graphic or choose the best color or best font, that's not something I excel. But this deck was created by me all alone, like testing, trying, wanting to improve, and I'm pretty proud of itself, and I use this template a lot in many different places. And it's a good alternative career step up. Some of you, if you decide to go the product management route, might be very talented and lucky and will immediately land a junior product manager role. Some of you will have to take the more realistic approach with different roles that I'll talk later, but it's always a great alternative because you can be a developer, you can be a data analyst, you can be a designer, and you can go further into this route and specialize, or you can go sideways and become a product manager that encompasses your old skills and lots more. So you're never bored, you're always growing. So as I said, it's lots of different skills, and the fact that you have to put them together in your head, that you have to coordinate and you have to blend it all into a consistent pool of a person that razzle dazzles everyone, that amazes with the presentations, with the way the storytelling is being presented, with how the decisions are being rationalized. It's really very fulfilling, I would say. But at the same time, as you can see, I'm at my home office. You can't see my cat on the lap. It's 8 a.m. and I can easily dedicate my time for you guys to do this presentation. And I assure you that this is not a 9 to 5 job. There will be times where we will be working 12, 14 hours because the situation demands it. But most of the time, it will allow you to get your life in order, that you will be able to go out to the shopping when you need, that you will be able to have a good time with your family, and it won't take the soul out of you. This is this job that can really become your hobby because you simply enjoy it. And that also comes with manageable amount of stress. Let's not kid ourselves. This is a management position where you're making decisions that might cost millions of rupees, dollars, and there will be stress. But at the same time, the way the position is structured, you are protected from mistakes. You have a lot of people around you. Those people are there to call on your mistakes, to advise, to provide a different perspective, and thus you hardly ever can make a very critically bad decision. As long as you're a good product manager, you listen, you are not stubborn, and what you do is result of many voices that you are supposed to compile in your head. So I've been really stressed in a startup where there was like few of us and every decision could have killed the company. But ever since I moved on to bigger companies, that's no longer the case. And well, you are in the spotlight. You are the front man of many presentations. You need to tell the story of what you need to do, and you need to promote your team to show how successful they were, how that product emerged in the end. And yeah, that's something that some of you will enjoy. Some of you would prefer not to be in the spotlight. So this is like a one showstopper for many people, especially I think the engineering department will have some more private beings. But trust me, this is a skill you can learn. I'll be honest with you, I'm not that of a party person. I don't enjoy spending too much time with too many people, but yet this is not anything that would stop me from progressing and trying to do my best when, well, being a people person by profession, really. So, as I mentioned, teamwork. You are in a group that is connected to a single target, getting the product better. So while you have the final call, while you are responsible for the results and whether your predictions were correct or not, there are people around you to make sure that those results come, that the design will be the best, that the code will work perfectly, that the predictions for the changes are correct, and there will be many, many talented people all around you that will help you make this happen. So, as you can probably tell, this job is quite creative. It's no two epics, no two tasks are ever the same. You'll be exploring different angles, learning about new technologies, and learning more about your users and trying different stuff. But at the same time, principles are the same. You will always have a similar process. You will always have similar things to prove. So that's like a chaos contained in a box, really. That you don't know what's inside, but you know how to open the box and how to operate it. And because of that, because of the same principles of product management, you are likely to prevent burnout. Because if you feel burnout, you can switch industries. You don't need to be a subject level expert to be a good product manager for a product. I myself started with IT products for recruitment and moved on to car sales in OLX. And now I'm leading one of the world's best known communicators. And each time I change industry, it was a new for me. I'm not a car enthusiast, and yet I know very many things about cars at the moment, just because I had to run a product that sells them. You might be even aware of OLX Autos and the initiative of collecting the cars and reselling them had been replicated in many countries, including Poland, where I come from. This is also a country position where you don't really need to worry about your day-to-day life in terms of financials. You won't become a millionaire overnight, but you will also not have to worry about living in a small apartment and whether you are able to put any savings on the side. This obviously is just an average, and from my experience, at least from European positions, I was able to get offers much greater than the average presented on Glassdoor or Indeed. Oh, I left Sydney. I thought I left America because it was about $1,200 in San Francisco, but US is generally like the best place to live for product managers in terms of salaries, but at the same time it's also the most expensive ones because all the Silicon Valley areas tend to be very, very expensive. So as I said, if you make this job a hobby, if you enjoy it, then you won't really have that much of a fast stress. You just do what you enjoy. Doing my job and doing my side gig as a product manager teacher doesn't exhaust me really. It's not this level of tiredness that you get when you learn for an exam for a topic that you're not really interested in, but yet you have to pass it. It's something that lights up your fire and lets you enjoy your day-to-day life, which opens the part where I want to tell you about like high level of skills you need, because there are many misconceptions here. And I think that I'm really comfortable by starting with business acumen. This is this feeling that you know how can you change your product in order to improve it, be profitable, but at the same time not piss off your users. Like putting loot boxes in video games is something that can help your business. You will grow the money, but at the same time you will get bad press and you will have negative backlash. There's lots of legal stuff connected with it, and you need to know where can you go in order to keep in spirit in your product and make sure that you secure the jobs connected with that job. There's like this trend in product management called client centricity, where at least conceptually you don't worry about whether you're bringing business or not. You just want to make the clients happy. And the presumption is if the clients are happy and the product is good, the business will come naturally. That's a great philosophy, don't get me wrong. But it might sometimes lead you to making decisions that make the product cooler, funner, but can end up bankrupting you if misunderstood, like day to day when prioritizing the tasks that you need to select for the next development period, which is often called sprint. Leadership. This is a very important skill you need to master. Product managers don't have their own employees. You are like an external, not contractor, the other thing, the one that gives contract. Like You are not there to give promotions, money incentives. You are not responsible for your team's holidays. You are in a position where you have to negotiate with them on what will be done in a certain amount of time, in a way, and in which way. But at the same time, you have that theoretical authority where, while you can't directly influence them with their bonuses and salaries, you are still in a leadership position where you have to make sure that the team works correctly, where everyone is heard, where emotions are being considered, and you need to remember that you work with people which have their own faults and desires, and somehow you have to make this team together in order to have almost a team of junior product managers that will enjoy the work as much as you do and will help you create a better product. Data analysis. This is something that I hope engineering students are well aware of, where the math is not your enemy, it's your friend, and the scientific method is something that really is the only way to prove stuff. If you are able to gather the right data and know what you want to measure, how you want to measure it, and make sure that the measurements you're taking are correct, then you are already in a very good position. If you recall the definition from the first slide, there is mention of an in a measurable way, because you always have to be able to know the impact of what you do, and this data centricity, data obsession will really help you become a great product manager. Communication. People need to understand what you're doing, why you are doing, and they need to get it at the right time in the right form. What is the right time, right form? There isn't one good answer to that. You will get different positions, different stakeholders, different companies, and it's all about figuring this out on a case-by-case basis, and it's why you need the skill. It's how you excel, because great communicating product manager will be a great one, but a product manager that is otherwise great but is a bad communicator will be seen as a mediocre one that cannot really sell his or her success. Technical is here, but you don't need like an engineering degree per se, just like you don't need a business degree to be a product manager. The technical aspects here is about understanding the technology you're working with and having the same language with your developers to understand the limits and the timeline really of how things progress. This will involve technical knowledge about, for example, cloud software and cloud architecture. It will be helpful to know how the code is being compiled together in order to deliver a product, like using GitHub, this kind of stuff. Obviously, you should be well trained in using Excel and other data analysis tools, but I wouldn't worry about those. The company usually has specific software that they use, and they will give it to you. Understanding users, it's very similar to business acumen, but from the other side, that your business decision should help your users use the product, enjoy it, and you can sometimes do very little to bring very many enthusiasm back from the people who use your product day to day. Okay, so I told you why it's worth it. I told you what are the set of skills that you need to acquire to become a product manager. So how to become one? Just about those skills. They come in time. No one expects you to have like a full set of them when you get the job. You just need to know where you need to develop and understand your weaker and stronger sides in order to focus on them. And focus obviously on improving the weaker ones. So some of you will be, as I said, very lucky and will have the unicorn opportunity. So right off the bat, there are junior associate product manager positions where you are just being product manager in training, and Microsoft, Amazon, and a lot of bigger companies do those types of internships. But I won't lie to you, it's extremely hard to get such a position. The competition is furious. What can you do to be on top of such situation? First of all, learn. There's lots of theories. There are courses, books, YouTube channels. If you just spend 30, 60 minutes per day just to listen to something related to product management, then in 3, 6, 12 months, you will accumulate so much knowledge, so many stories, so many good practices that you will be way ahead of other candidates. And this will help you to review your life and career and your projects in terms of product management aspects that you can later turn into stories that you can tell to the interviewer or on your application. It's the last point here, but you can also work on your own product. You can, for example, develop a small application or a game. You can do an online course, set your goals, and see if you meet those goals. And it's not about even meeting those goals or making this a profitable business. It's about learning product management on a real product that you lead. I think that my Udemy course is something that taught me so much about product management. Though I did it on my own, it took me a year, and it's an amazing journey that carries on. Obviously, you will have to have a great CV and a LinkedIn profile to complement your the skills that you will learn, and it's part of learning the communication. Let's see, okay. Also, be sure to research typical job interview questions for product managers and prepare your answers in advance. There is probably a set of 100 to 100 questions that are not that difficult if you know them ahead, if you know how to reply, and many of them are very similar. There is like this silly group of questions that say, for example, how many red pens are there in US? So like the core here is not to panic that you don't know where to begin, but it's all about making assumptions, putting a random number, and then just figure out how to get this number smaller by logical analysis and thinking to give some number in the end. It's something that can scare you the first time you hear it, but if you are prepared, then you know it's all about demonstrating the way you think and not actually guessing the number of red pens in America. But some of you, due to the sheer numbers, will not be able to land the junior PM position right off the bat after university. And that's okay. Seriously, I was in my startup 9 years. I was there a product manager in the 6th year, but I really wasn't. It was just a title where I did some of the aspects of product management. And do realize that when I started researching more, learning, and wanting to switch companies to become a true PM, it took me 2 years of really hard work, learning, and failing on job interviews until I got my goal, and I learned so much in the way that now I can teach you guys about it. I was also finishing my PhD in parallel, so it was twice as hard, but again, there's no shame if you take the long way around. And the long way around is getting a developer, a designer, a data analyst position, and just rocking this position for a year, 2, 3, and be promoted to product management in the end. There are also positions that are quite similar to product management that are not product management, which is project manager and product owner. Project manager is someone that just makes sure that the work you selected is being completed in a way that was planned. Product owner can be a product manager, cannot be. That's a story for another time. So slowly moving on to Q&A, to be promoted, to develop your position in order to become a product manager from those entry-level positions. Just be very proactive. Be clear about your intentions and career goals so the company knows how to pilot you towards where you want to be. And get a development plan. They will tell you what you need to do day to day in order to meet the goals for the eventual promotion. But it will take time. It will take a lot of energy from you. Those will be additional responsibilities on top of your regular job that you will still have to do in the best possible way. But well, that's the way to do it. This is of course on top of everything you can do to get the junior position, to create your own product, to learn, to make your hobby, yada yada. So that's all I had prepared for you. I'm surprised that I managed to do exactly 30 minutes. I'll leave you some links in the chat to some of the resources I have that involves 2 different platforms. Of course, it's my YouTube channel. You go ahead, connect to me on LinkedIn so you can also always ask me questions. I'm also running a Medium blog, and I have a Twitter feed where I post articles and videos that I find that are interesting about product management. And yeah, that's it. Let me stop the screen share. And
Sir, can we start with the Q&A?
Yes.
If it's fine for you. Sure. So the first question comes from Shivendu. His question is that he's been seeing the role of product managers changing over all time. And there are a lot of paramount shifts in business dynamics in terms of frequent launches due to completeness and market demands. So how do you see this paradigm shift?
It's all about the fact that the product management position is evolving to, well, its ultimate form, the one intended. There is a situation where the product manager was really confused by employers, and sometimes you would go to a company expecting to be a product manager to make the decisions, where in fact you were responsible for making sure that the tasks are delivered on time, which is not what you should do. The product manager's role, like by the book, ideally should stop when you agreed with the developers on what needs to be delivered in a finite amount of time. When that's done, you are not responsible for the outcome from that point on. Your responsibility comes back to life when the product is live. And understanding that, giving the product managers time to be able to think about their decisions, to do their research, and not run around developers, making sure that they work effectively, efficiently, and quickly, is like this shift. And in terms of the companies changing, the market changing, it's why the product managers need to be there in the first place. It's this person that's supposed to identify the changes, or even find the need for a product or a feature before someone else does, and be the first one to the market. Like Meta or Facebook is now trying with their metaverse. No one did that really yet, and they set the trends, or they think that they identify how the future landscape of technology will look like, and they want to be the first one to win it, like the iPhones did so many years ago.
Thank you so much for the answer. We have a second question. It's coming from Priyank. He's thanking you for the session, and his question is: how does a product manager, effectively handle conflicts that might occur when working between different cross-functional teams?
Oh, okay. So between different cross-functional teams. Well, it's about this taking a role of a diplomat where you get the people that need to be in the same room to resolve the conflict, and you moderate the discussion to get the desired outcome. This this is where the communication and leadership comes into place, where without having the authority to say just do it like this and I don't care, without it you need to be that person that will hear both sides of the story and figure out how to make sure that they are in agreement. I've seen that time and time and again, and sometimes it's all about making sure that the emotions go away, data kicks in, and data is usually this magical ingredient that helps you to get, like, maybe not always what you want, but something that makes sense for everyone. Because you can discuss emotions, you can discuss data.
Thank you so much, sir, for the answer. The other question comes from Rigang. He's again thanking you for the session, and he wishes to know. We know that customers have various demands with regards to their product. As a product manager, how do we segregate what demands can be realistically met and what cannot be?
Client demands is just one of the streams of feedback you will get. You will have stakeholders and different people wanting different stuff from the product. And it's all about that value that I mentioned, that you have to be able to estimate what is the best possible decision that you can make in any given time. And sometimes it means saying no to your manager. Sometimes it will be saying no to your customers, because you can have a very vocal, small group of people that want something, which will be have a percent of your user base. And just because something is being emailed week to week to week doesn't mean that it's actually urgent. And that's also the part of the craft, to be able to tell the actual need from the few people that are just loud enough to be heard. And that's often hard, but saying no is in the DNA of the position. And you will have to be comfortable with standing your ground. You obviously might be wrong. You may stumble on a request from a client that appears small, that has never appeared again, and then you find out that your competitor did that in a few years and really won the market. But it's also this aspect where you don't say no because you think no. You should be able to dedicate time to different requests, to analyze them, think them through, try to estimate the impact, the effort needed to be achieved, and then be able to say no because. And that's like this, for me, the best method to approach that.
And the other question comes from Sarvajit. He wishes to know, you have worked for product management roles for various companies. So his question is, how does the product management job vary in a relatively smaller company to one on a larger scale like a tech giant like Microsoft?
Okay, I have a video on that topic on my YouTube channel, but like in a short answer, it's all about this level of stress. In a small company, your decisions may bury the company and you will work more will be dependent on you, but at the same time you will have more power over the product, you will get more glory for the decision, and because it's all smaller, then it's very easy to pinpoint who made like what choice. On the other hand, in giants like Microsoft, I don't want to say that you can do whatever you want and nothing matters, but at the same time, because of the sheer size, there's a big protective net of preventing you from making bad decisions, which means that you are not as stressed, which means that you have to be very well prepared for anything. And at the same time, everything is much slower, right? Whereas in the big company, smaller company, it's easy to progress quick, iterate quickly, and generally it's easier to have an output of a product, but at the cost of a greater risk. So I think that the risk factor, stress, development speed, and the accountability for an impact are like the four parameters that are majorly different between big and small companies.
Fine. The other question comes from Shivang. His question is, what paths do we need to keep in check while developing a product roadmap, and how do you achieve it?
You, as a product manager, you are mostly responsible for setting the roadmap, not really making it happen in terms of development. The roadmaps, the good roadmaps, will not have like specific dates on them, and date commitments in product management world are not the best ones. You want to have quarterly commitments, the priority list. What is important is to remember that roadmaps are not set in stone. You need those roadmaps in order to have good communication, to demonstrate that you have a strategy and a good plan. But the moment you see an opportunity that will be better than anything you have on the roadmap, you toss the roadmap aside, hit that opportunity, and you figure out how to deal with the consequence. Because it's all about the best possible choice at any given time. And just because you have a roadmap that you worked on for 2-3 weeks, presented it to stakeholders, doesn't justify delaying an obvious opportunity, and this is what you need to really remember.
Thank you. The other question comes from Omkar. Hello, Bart. Thank you for the wonderful session. My question is, as a product manager, what are some insider tips and tricks to create effective user stories? What should be taken into account and what should not be taken into account while creating user stories?
I would say that there isn't like a hacky way to do it. You have to figure out the format that works with your team. It's that maybe that's maybe the hacky way. Don't treat it as a document that you need to read, that you need to complete. Treat the user story as a set of agreements with the team that you put on paper. Obviously, there will be stuff like that. The user story has a specific phrase that, as a user, I want to achieve this. I want to do this to achieve that. So this is just like a sentence that helps people navigate. But it's mostly all about requirements and making sure that the requirements are well understood and the team knows what they need to do in order to achieve the requirements. So just take your time with it. Talk to the people who will be doing it, involve many parties, come up with a draft, and allow the brilliant people around you help with this draft to create its ultimate version. You don't want to just write your user story, be happy with it, and then expect developers to just do their stuff and not worry about it. No, this is this grid of friends that I was talking about that will help you get things better and in a very good way.
Thank you for the answer, Bart. We just have two questions. I hope it's fine.
Go on.
Thank you. Yeah, the question comes from Shivendu again. He says that how can one prepare for product manager's role without being in those role? I mean that when we talk about the idea of interface or experience to be captured through wireframe structure, how can one proceed in the degree of such constraints?
I would say that just do something that, as mentioned on the presentation, do your own product, do your own app, your own game, your own cause. Do something that requires you to have a plan, have goals, have timelines, and put it out to the world and work hard in order to achieve your goals, whether that's the number of downloads, the revenue your game generates, the score you want to achieve. This is what you can really do to get your hands dirty before you ever get any team to work with. And this will also generate the success and failure stories that you can later relay on job interviews. And again, it's not about creating the next Frogger or how Flappy Birds. It's about gathering success and failure stories about what you learned, what worked for you, what didn't, and what will help you in the future. Every position I had to this day helped me to get to Microsoft. I gathered different experiences, and doing my Udemy course was one of them. And I'm not sure if it wasn't the most valuable in the end.
Thank you, Bart. The other question, the last question of the session. In case of an IT product, how often should a product manager launch updates based on customer reviews and feedbacks? And yeah, he also wishes to know that what mistakes do you see in junior product managers? Any advice for them?
Okay, so the release cycle is not really determined from the user feedback. This is often, well, determined on how the tech is set up. For example, a new version of Skype is launched every month, but when I was working in Stepstone, we released a new application version basically every 2 weeks. So the feedback that comes from the users shouldn't be taken like directly. As I mentioned, you have to figure out whether it makes sense. You can't allow the minority of users dictate on how the whole user base uses the product. You just have hypothesis of possible changes in the product from those reviews and ratings that you need to investigate. I think the biggest mistake is not having the ability to realize that there's only so much you can do. Junior product managers will want to accommodate to every stakeholder, every review, every feedback, and they will be sad and depressed when they will figure out that there's only so much that the developers can do in a finite amount of time. So not having the ability to say no is, like, I think the biggest mistake and the thing that really drives unnecessary stress. But also working to build that backbone of being able to say no and having good arguments to say no is what is maturity of product manager gonna be, really.
Thank you so much, Bart, for all the questions. The batch was ecstatic, and they do seem to be contented with all the answers and the feedbacks you gave. And we're definitely looking forward to much more sessions from you.
Thank you for having me. I hope
Thank you
it's
so
not
much.
too late for you guys. And
No, it's
enjoy your day, weekend, and good luck becoming product managers if I convinced you to this career. And hopefully we'll meet in Microsoft one day.
sure. Thank you, Bart. Have a nice day. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.